Robert Greene comes in with the third law and tells us on the divided plane where often people are walking in dysfunction and darkness, that you never want to let your true intentions be known. You always want to conceal what it is that you're genuinely up to. You don't never want to let people own to what you're building before it's ready, because they might come in and do something to oppose it. They might just be strong enough to destroy it. They might be big enough and bad enough to be negative enough to bring negative energy to something that you had positively set yourself out to accomplishing. And their negativity just may override or supersede your positivity and your intent and your purpose. You just may not be a full design, whole and perfect and able to do all things through the spirit that abides within you. You might just be affected by those who speak evil against you, those who speak assumptions against you, those who think that because they couldn't accomplish something because they had an absence of truth and awareness of it in them, thinking that you can't do it too. You better stop entertaining these people, and you should as well abandon all earthly advice. Fear is really what we're most familiar with. Most of us operate out of a extreme sense of fear. You're afraid to speak on the dream or the vision that you carry, because if you go public with it and you don't produce it, those people that you care how they see you may see you a way that you don't care to be seen. They just may start talking about you in a way that you talk about yourself on the inside and have a negative response to every time. They just may figure out finally that you are not as on top of your game, that your game room is not as supreme and not as superior to theirs as you've made everybody believe. And that's a scary thought to your ego. Dropping the act becomes appealing because you realize that you've been distracted all of your days running in circles going nowhere. This one seems like a fairly easy one, but it's just as loaded as any of the other passages from Robert Greene in the 48 Laws of Power. I mean, let's think about it for real. How many sets of intentions do you have? What is it that you intend to do? You're fully convinced that in the course of every single day you wake up, you're intending to do the same thing every day. But every day you're also under the assumption that the things that you intend to do are unique to the day that you're experiencing. I'll run that back. You are completely convinced within yourself that you wake up and you're focused on the progression of yourself, the progression of those you care about, the advancement of your economical standards, the advancement of your professional pursuit, the ambitious desires that you carry on the inside that you long for. You are convinced that you wake up and everything you're doing in the course of a day, even if it's arguing with somebody about something meaningless, you're convinced that it plays a part in where you're going, or you wouldn't do it. And then there are the things that you face on the day-to-day, the obstacles and challenges at work, the things that rise up amongst your social groups, and the various traverse issues of life. And you intend to see your way through and survive each and every one of those attacks and each and every one of those illusionary moments that you've created for yourself. In that moment, your only intention is to survive, not love, not extend yourself, not fulfill a purpose, not manifest a vision. Survive. And when the crisis is over, you remember that you have a purpose. And until the next crisis, your intention is to not fail at your purpose. You do understand it's not the same as I carry the desire to fulfill my purpose naturally to my design. One is a pursuit away from a narrative that we do not want applied to us and probably fear. The other is a pursuit of purpose, one of genuine expression and extension, naturally designed for God's creations. All of God's creations do what God does, and extend themselves freely, except those who don't know what it means to be God's creation. The trees have never looked over at you and said, you know what, I'm not giving you oxygen today because you got on my nerves the last couple of weeks. Sometimes when we look at a person's actions and they speak on their intentions, it sounds like they carry a level of insanity. But to be real, they're no more insane than you. They're no more conflicted than you. They carry paradigms that are opposite of each other, and sometimes they conflict. Sometimes they fall on the side of the scale that leads to the abuse of you, leads to the mismanagement and the mishandling of you and all of those around them and themselves. So, I mean, you can gripe over the fact that they treat you like trash, or you can take into consideration that if they're extending this level of trash to you, they extend something far worse to themselves, and this is just the overflow. You're getting nothing but what's leaking out of the cup. They live inside of that toxic environment, and they are crying for help to escape in the only way they know how, because how many of us were genuinely educated in a constructive way on communication? Who taught you how to listen? Who taught you how to speak and express the truth of yourself in a respectful way and not be concerned with the reactions or the responses that the truth may pull out of those around you? There is a world where everything you do matters, everything you think matters, everything you rehearse, recite, set your attention on, look at, even consider. And then there's a world where everything you do, everything you think, say, express, see, feel, changes nothing, means nothing. You and I were taught to give all of our attention to this meaningless world. We were taught to give all of our time and all of our effort and energy to the progression of a body inside of an illusionary experience that was only designed to lead us to the truth of who we are in the divine eternally. But when we don't know that our well-being is on autopilot, we don't know that our abundance is on autopilot, we don't know that our wellness and our health and everything good flows to us freely on autopilot, inherently by our design from the great creator who designed the entire experience, we spend our time worried and concerned with the well-being and the wellness and the progression of ourselves inside of an experience that we can change none at all unless we go into the inner world, the divine, unless we go into the mind and operate through renewal in a way that is foreign to what we are familiar with, so that we can get an outcome that we haven't experienced and one that is not associated with the dysfunction of our past and the darkness and ignorance that we carry. And as we learn and grow in truth, our world begins to reflect the truth that we have set our eye upon. You can go into the divine, set your eyes on the things above, and remain there. You don't have to toggle back and forth between these two worlds. This world, the physical plane, is contingent on the divine. You can set all of your time, all of your attention, and all of your energy on the free flow and promise of the divine, and all things in the physical will naturally flow in occurrence and in accordance with where you are in relationship to the divine. There is absolutely no need for you to be going to and fro seeking who you need to devour in order to stay safe. Your survival is on autopilot. You're okay. There's no need for you to protect yourself from people, protect yourself from things and situations and places and circumstances. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to worry about, all you have to focus on is not being in your head, creating the scenario from fear or projection or expectation of what it is that you don't want. Random acts of violence aren't true random acts of violence. People get it in their head that bad things can happen to them. They even take it upon themselves to go into the physical and try to manipulate the experience by doing things in the physical to stop physical occurrences. And that is not how you operate as a divine being. As a divine being, if you want to interject or you want to withhold anything inside of your physical experience, it all begins on the inside of you, on the inner dialogue that you spend your time going back and forth with all day. You got to silence the legion of voices before they lead you to destruction. They're going to lead you straight to death. They're going to continue to give you imaginations of all the things and all the ways that people could possibly harm you, and continue to build these illusionary plans of survival that you think are extremely real and possible to you and just may be necessary one day. You think it's a gift to operate as one who is always projecting and seeing the possibility of danger and coming up with a plan to possibly escape it and get everybody else that you care about out safely. You think that's a part of being a man. You think that's a part of being a protector. And to be honest, you will be the one who draws the very situation that shows you that you cannot manipulate the physical realm outside of what you do in your head. You will not have the experience that you've seen in your imagination. You're going to learn today. You're going to learn. If you call for something, it's going to come, and it's coming inevitably. And there's nothing you can do to stop it once you have set it in motion for yourself. But nobody else can set it in motion for you. Nobody else can plant in your garden. You were given your garden to tend and to care for. You were given the mind of Christ. You were given the power to water with your attention and to create whatever it is that you plant. It will manifest in your life. But nobody else can do that. So you need to stop blaming them people. The overgrowth and the weeds that you live with and that you are constantly trying to remove from your garden have grown there because of things that you have planted and because of the neglect of you to care for your garden. It's a daily process of renewal. It's a whole new life. And then as you experience that new life, it leads to a new life. It's from life to life to life to life, because you are an eternal being connected to an eternal source that is always answering yes and more. Yes to life, more. What's at the more? More life. Like, for real though, you should only have one intention, and that intention should be to be in accordance with your purpose. And your purpose is universal. You don't have to do any discovering to know what your purpose is. You don't have to go out and take one of them little questionnaire tests that they be throwing on the end of job applications. Like, life isn't Indeed. It's okay. All of our purpose is universal as well. Your purpose is to be an extension of love. And don't nobody have to tell you how to love. Ain't nobody got to tell you. I know it's been a long time. I know you've been playing this social game of tit for tat, back and forth, performance-based, conditional extending, which is not extending yourself at all. I know that you've operated behind the mask of the ego. You've used the stunt double of the miscreation that you have weaved together in the darkness that is nothing but the expression of all the illusions that you have ever believed and partnered with and ever will. I know. But the true part of you can never die. The true part of you could never be corrupted. The truth of you can never be lost. You don't have time to waste skewing the read of others who don't. You don't have time to waste trying to make sure that the people around you can't gauge your true intentions and don't know your true plan and your path of success. Listen, if somebody win by watching you win, what difference do it make for you? Get out of this scarcity mindset that there just might not be enough space, that only one person can make it from this city. Or once somebody do it, when somebody does it, it's gonna set more attention on that area. It's not gonna automatically close up. See, to be real, you got some really weird desires. Like, you don't want to win. You want to be the only one from round the way that won. You don't want a nice house. You want the nicest house. And you can't even tell me who you comparing it to. And you ain't seen some of the people's house that you comparing it to. Some of the people you comparing it to ain't even got no house. Your schedule's full enough. Unlearning the foolishness that you come from and adopting the ways of truth that are in accordance with your identity is a full-time gig. It's pleasurable once you know what it is that you're doing and you understand how toxic the things that you've carried in the past are, and how healing the things that you are adopting and identifying yourself with today are. But you don't have time to play games. You don't have time to bounce back and forth between playing social games and then taking upon truth and knowledge. You don't have time to go and clock in and pretend for a 40-hour check, an 80-hour bi-weekly check, and also be in radical pursuit of the truth within. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you your illusions. It's going to cost you your partnership and attachment to the perishable, tangible, illusionary things that you love and crave and have centered your life around. It's going to cost you.